So I just went to see Dumbo. You know, the 2019 remake, that is. The latest in Disney's campaign to profit off of old IPs and milk your nostalgia harder than a cow in a PETA ad. And while they're at it, they'll gladly spit on your childhood joy. Hey, we'll even pay for it. Just in case you couldn't tell, I was a bit wary about this movie from the start. I mean, really, how do you recapture the expressive and emotional depth of a movie like Dumbo? A film that was made for the intention to push those very qualities in the animation field to new heights with a live-action remake? And the answer is actually pretty simple. You don't. I think now is as good as any time to address the elephant in the room. Ha 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 ha! As you all surely know, this film was directed by the brilliantly macabre, dark mind of Tim Burton, who has created some of the most unique as well as highly stylized works, such as Edward Scissorhands, Nightmare Before Christmas, and the more recent remakes of Alice in Wonderland. Who, while having a unique vision and look to his work, I feel more and more these days doesn't want people to actually see his films. I don't mean to not buy his tickets, I mean to actually be able to visibly perceive his films. Because everything he makes in recent years is just so goddamn dark that I can't tell what I'm even looking at half the time. Honestly, it's like he's turning into a bat with how much he fears lighting. But I digress. Needless to say, Tim Burton picking up this film appears to have been a point of contention among people over some of his other reimaginings getting, well, mixed reception. Not to mention that this screenplay was written by Aaron Kruger, who, by his namesake, is known for writing gritty horror movies, and a handful of action films, such as a few of the Transformers movies and Ghost in the Shell.
What could possibly go wrong?
Alright, with all of that out of the way, well, how was it then? Well, surprisingly, it was pretty okay. It should really be emphasized that the Dumbo 2019 remake is very much a different story, with a darker tone and narrative compared to its original 1941 version, and certainly stands well on its own as an independent film, making only brief nods to the original while never feeling like it's digressing to do so. We see characters like Timothy Mouse as, well, just a mouse in a cage. We have the storks as, well, just a symbolic gesture of giving birth. The pink elephants are reimagined as part of the act, and they certainly milked the shit out of that magic feather bit. Oh yeah, and Dumbo's there too. Oh, but no crows though. This is Disney after all, not YouTube, who are basically owned by Disney. However, this version focuses far more on the circus rather than a few cartoony animals, with the plot following a wide and varied cast of tropes and cliches stolen right out of The Greatest Showman. With that said, while I will try not to give many spoilers, I have to go into what this interpretation does differently, mainly with the new characters and plot. So some minor details here and there, but overall I'm not going to spoil any of the main plot points. Not like there's really that much to spoil after all, like Dumbo having big ears, or that he flies, or how Dumbo saves his mother from nearly being put down by this amazing Criswell-looking guy. You know, the small things. So if you don't want that, skip to the time on the screen here. So, basically, aside Dumbo and his mother, all previous characters and essentially the original plot were thrown out to make room for these humans. We start with our protagonists, a generic 1950s Americana boy and his sister, Wednesday. That's not her name, obviously, just what I'm calling her. And not just because I forgot her name, but because she is smart, you see. Which means she talks in an emotionless way, with no personality whatsoever. That's interesting, right? Good acting. We meet with their father, who is returning from the Great War with one arm less than normal and quickly finding that his wife died of cliché-itis. And as a result, the ringleader, Mr. Medici, sold their horses to survive the bad season. This leads Mr. Medici to give him a job tending to the animals and even giving him a fake arm to not scare the customers. Because the last thing you want to see at a circus, of course, are freaks and oddities. Obviously. Through some of this time, we get a good rundown of some of the other sideshow folk who are making reoccurring appearances and play roles later on. I personally enjoy this wise Indian man that just seems to understand everything in the universe. Oh yeah, and Dumbo's there too. Actually, this is about when we are introduced to Jumbo. You know, Dumbo's mother. A rare type of elephant that Mr. Medici bought because she was pregnant, seeing this as a good opportunity to double his investment. And pretty much the next day, Dumbo is born, and we all pretty much know what follows. But instead, in this one, Mr. Medici is quick to get fired up and feel that he was cheated and can't have a freak like Dumbo ruining his circus. Because of course the last thing you want to see in the circus are freaks and oddities. Obviously. Most of the first half of the film goes as we expected from the original. Just now, instead of following Dumbo around, we see things from the perspective of the humans. Dumbo is mocked by the audience, who I should remind are there at the circus to see wonders, freaks, and oddities. Things get out of hand, of course, and some douchebag handler who hated Jumbo gets killed when the tent collapses. Jumbo's locked up for going on a rampage, and of course the kids find out Dumbo can fly. This basically ends the part of the film that is related to the original in any way. With news of a flying elephant out, this attracts the attention of V.A. Vanderveer. You remember that amazing Criswell-looking guy I was talking about? Who essentially just buys up Medici's circus to merge mainly just Dumbo into his amusement park. And at first, honestly, he seems like a cool guy and really on the level. He tries to help and inspire everyone. Everyone is given jobs. Mr. Medici is made a partner and mingles with the bigwigs. He gives some pretty uplifting words to the Wednesday girl. And the one-armed man is back on horses and mingling with the trapeze artists. Oh right, and Dumbo's there. Of course, that mask drops the second Dumbo's first act goes tits up, and he flips into a rational nutcase mode like a light switch, firing all of Medici's crew and deciding to have Dumbo's mom put down as some weird power play against a baby elephant. Yeah, I'm sure he'll remember that shit. That leads everyone to rally to save Mrs. Jumbo, where I'm not going to spoil anything on how that plays out, honestly. So, obviously things are a tad bit different given the direction it's going. And these scenes are far more numerous and in-depth than I'm making them out to be, adding up to a runtime nearly twice as long as the original. Yet I'm surprised it somehow never feels like it's dragging its feet to get where it needs to go. Scenes always get what they need across to the viewer without ever feeling either rushed or padded. There are some scenes that do feel hammered in, but they are always brief and seem more there to keep the pacing in order or to equally hammer in some emotional tension. As much as I harp on it, I did rather enjoy the experience it gave. It has a lot of Tim Burton's charm and interesting visuals along with it. Some good dialogue and more interesting plot, really. 'Cause let's face it, do you even remember the plot to Dumbo? I bet not. Basically 'cause there wasn't one. As much as it does get right, it feels equally pulled down by cliches, a dark and hard-to-make-out lighting, bland acting, and just some really piss-poor motivations driving some of the plot. And while I'm at it, I might as well just be frank about it. Dumbo's just not cute in this. He honestly looks like some horrifying alien abomination. But that's very petty and minor gripe, really. A remake like this is put into a hard spot, I have to say. Really, all these Disney films are. Do you remake it nearly identical to the old version, or do you split off and do something different while attempting to remain familiar? Honestly, it really is a lose-lose situation. Making it the same, people will feel there is no point to making it at all, and going your own way will be inevitably met with a torrent of,
"This is not the movie I remember."
Personally, I applaud them for doing something different with Dumbo. It's really hard for me to really give it a good rating, but I guess I'd put it somewhere around 5 out of 8. As muddled as some of its choices are, it still has a lot of charm and personality, standing very well on its own as a movie. Unfortunately, I don't see it being a very memorable one too far from now, with a lot of it standing out through Burton's style and everything else feeling too close to other movies that have come out not too long ago. In the end, this Dumbo just didn't soar to new heights like its predecessors had. Well, thanks for watching Beasts and Vermin, and join me next time when we watch... Speaking of The Greatest Showman... Alright, well, here we are again. I had to... This is actually take 2, honestly, so I need to repeat what I improv the last time on this. I can't remember. So I first of all want to give a huge thank you to Jacob, Radioactive Coon, for being my proofreader on this. A bit of, just good eyes on that. Thank you. I'm always like the worst at grammar and keeping track of these. It made the read a decent bit easier. Aside from that, by the way, I got a new fan in here, so that's feeling a lot better. Hopefully you guys don't hear it. If you do, let me know, and I will keep that in mind. I'm gonna try my best to get rid of that. As for what else did I cover last time? Yes, a little bit on the scheduling of things, because now I'm kind of back. This is the first real video I've done in a while. I know, it's kind of bad. I've always accepted I'm really bad at that. I hate making excuses, so I'm not. I just had a lot of trouble just doing it. That's it. This one is, I know this video is way past date. Way late. Dumbo came out like 3 weeks ago at this point, and a lot of it was just me struggling writing. A lot of it was me just struggling doing the basic stuff for this video. But now I got it out, and hopefully this time the audio's not all fucked up. Sorry about that. I feel justified in bitching, but we'll see. As for other videos coming out in the future, well, I have a few plans. We'll see how that goes. Mainly, I'm going to be doing a new thing to test myself. It was something kind of inspired by an essay that was shared with me of how not to write 500 words, which I highly suggest reading it. It's super helpful. But I think I'm going to now test myself on a weekly basis of writing about 500 word or more, plus. Little review of fucking shows, movies, or like any stuff that I just pull off my shelf. Kind of like I did with September. That last September where I was doing like the 30-day challenge. I'm just going to do them like that. Quick, simple. Supposed to be like, I know these fuzzy thoughts are supposed to be rough and rushed and everything, and I can't help but try to make it good. That's just how I am. I always want to actually have quality in my stuff. Hold on, I'm gonna drink some beer. Even though I brushed my teeth not long ago. That's stupid. But yeah, I'm gonna do these little mini reviews. I'm gonna keep with the fuzzy thoughts. I'm gonna do not Greatest Showman. It was hinted. I keep forgetting it when I think about it because it's not in the script. The Missing Link. I'm going to do the Missing Link for probably next week or the week after. I'll try to get to it as fast as I can, honestly. See how that goes. I'm not having very much expectations for that film at all, really. It will probably be more difficult to write because it just has so little substance, I'm guessing. As for the Bubsy review, the big elephant in the room, I know. It's still in the works. I'm actually back on it. I had to do a bunch of rewriting on it. I've been making character reference sheets, working on those still, and had to make new sets. I actually got some of those built already. But yeah, I'm actually going to get the Bubsy review out this year. I don't think I should say when, or when I plan to. Not only because I think you guys would rage from hearing it, but also because, well, every time I seem to promise a date, I seem to just fucking miss it. And I don't want to, jinx myself. I know that's stupid sounding, but I feel like I'm kind of jinxing myself half the time by raising these expectations and putting pressure on my brain. So, expect the Bubsy review in the future. And, well, that's about it, beasts and vermin. Well, I hope you enjoy these little afterthoughts things. I may be adding them more to videos. I was told by a few people that they seemed like a cool thing for me to just, throw in at the end after the end credits scenes or whatever, probably too. I might just try to do them for all of these, and it will help me, get more comfortable in front of the mic somehow. Who knows? But until next time, Beasts and Vermin, I will catch you next time. I need to learn how to really, end these. Bye.